The ground was cold beneath her, covered in ash and broken metal. Kayla's body trembled as she hid under a piece of fallen wall. Blood dried on her arms. Her world had ended. Her family, gone. Her city, silent. Smoke still rose from the ruins where her people once lived. The Varketh had taken everything. She had nothing left. No food, no hope. Just darkness. Her eyes began to close. Then, she heard footsteps. Slow, heavy, getting closer. She froze. A shadow moved across the dust. A tall figure stepped near. Human. Her heart pounded. Was he here to help or kill? The human didn't speak at first. He knelt beside Kayla, his armor scratched and burned. She tried to crawl back, weak and afraid. But he didn't raise his weapon. Instead, he pulled off his helmet and looked at her with tired human eyes. Slowly, he reached into his pack and took out a small blanket. Gently, he wrapped it around her shoulders. Kayla didn't understand. Why would he help her? Her kind meant nothing to his people. She wanted to run, but her body couldn't move. He whispered, "You're safe now." But Kayla still wondered, what did this human really want? Mason carried her through the smoking ruins, careful with every step. Kayla's body was light, but the danger around them was heavy. The Varketh were still close. She could hear their deep, growling voices echoing between the broken buildings. Mason didn't speak much. His eyes moved fast, watching shadows, listening for movement. They hid behind a crushed transport as two Varketh soldiers passed by. Kayla held her breath, her small hand gripping his sleeve. One wrong sound, and they were dead. When the danger passed, Mason looked down at her. "We keep moving," he said. But Kayla still didn't fully trust him. They found shelter in a collapsed building, deep beneath the rubble. It was quiet, but not safe. Kayla sat near the wall, staring at the small fire Mason built. He didn't ask her anything, just handed her food and waited. After a while, she whispered, "They came from the sky, burned everything." Her voice shook. "I saw them take my mother." Mason looked into the fire, jaw tight. He didn't say it, but she could feel he understood loss. He finally asked, "Why were they after your people?" Kayla hesitated. "I don't know, but they said I was different." Mason's eyes narrowed. Mason waited until Kayla fell asleep, then opened the small metal chip she had hidden in her clothes. It wasn't just a keepsake. It held data. As he scanned it, his face changed. The Varketh weren't just invaders. They were building something. Something terrifying. A psychic weapon. One that needed minds with special energy. Kayla's people had that gift. And now she might be the last. That's why they destroyed her home. That's why they're still hunting her. Mason looked at the sleeping girl. She wasn't just a survivor. She was a target. And now, protecting her meant risking everything. The next morning, Kayla woke to the sound of Mason packing gear. His expression was harder now, more focused. She could feel something had changed. "We can't stay here," he said. "They know you're alive." She stood slowly, still weak, but stronger than before. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. Mason paused, then answered, "Because I've seen what they do to people like you, and I won't let them do it again." As they moved through the ruins, Kayla noticed how Mason watched the skies, listened to the winds. Something was coming. Something worse than before. And it was coming fast. Thunder rolled across the sky, but it wasn't a storm. It was the sound of Varketh ships returning. Mason and Kayla ran through the wreckage, hearts pounding. The signal on the chip had been traced. They had only minutes. Kayla stumbled, but Mason caught her, pulling her behind him as energy blasts hit the ground nearby. "They don't want you dead," he said. "They want to use you." She didn't understand how, but the fear in his voice told her it was true. They reached a broken tunnel entrance. Mason turned, fired one last shot, then dragged her into the darkness below. The tunnel was old and deep, built long before the war. Echoes of water dripped through the dark, and the only light came from Mason's wrist lamp. Kayla stayed close, shivering but silent. This leads to an old resistance outpost, Mason said. If it's still there. As they moved deeper, Kayla's head began to ache. She clutched her temples. Something was calling to her. Whispers. Inside the stone. "They're tracking me. Through my mind," she said, barely able to speak. Mason stopped. "Then we need to move faster." But Kayla's voice trembled. "What if I can't stop it?" Mason looked at her. "Then I will." The tunnel was old and dark, the walls dripping cold water. Mason's light barely cut through the shadows as they moved deeper. Kayla's head throbbed with strange voices, soft, whispers that only she could hear. "They are inside my mind," she said, fear in her voice. Mason gripped her hand tightly. "We will find a way to stop them." Every step was slow and careful. The Varkath were close, hunting not just her body, but her thoughts. In this silence, their enemy was louder than ever. Kayla's power was growing, but so was the danger. Suddenly, distant footsteps echoed behind them. Mason froze and pulled Kayla into a shadowed alcove. Through the faint light, 2 Varkath soldiers passed, their armor clanking on the stone floor. Kayla's breath was shallow, heart pounding like a drum. She squeezed Mason's hand, but he remained calm, waiting until they were gone. "They're getting closer," Mason whispered. "We need to reach the outpost soon." Kayla nodded, fear and determination mixing in her eyes. She realized she wasn't just running from death anymore. She was running to fight for her people's future. And the battle was just beginning. At last, they reached the hidden outpost, buried deep, beneath the earth. The air was cold, but safe. At least for now. Mason helped Kayla inside, where a small group of survivors waited, eyes wide with hope and fear. Kayla felt a spark inside her, a chance to fight back, to protect what was left of her world. Mason looked at her with respect and a quiet promise. "This is just the beginning," he said. Outside, the Varkath fleet darkened the sky, ready to strike again. But Kayla wasn't alone anymore. Together, they would face the storm.